Today we are jumping right back into our beginner nail stamping series of this one is for like how I design everything, and it's just to show you what I do. I thought it might be interesting for some people who are newer to nail art to check this out. So the first thing I do is go through and pick my plates. I do keep my plates stored in a 3-ring binder, and these pages I buy from Maniology. I don't know, it's like $13 I think for 15 sheets. And then I have this smaller notebook that I also purchased from Maniology for the smaller plates. Now those, I do recommend that you get a quality brand on those. I'm going to show this in a video at another point, but if you buy ones that are made very cheaply, the plastic will leach out an oil all over your plates. It's a disgusting mess. I don't recommend it. The next thing I do in my design process is I might use inspiration photos. It's very rare that I do that. This is the opening scene of Circle of Life from Lion King. So I went through and just kind of matched some of those warm tones so that I could make a kind of sunrise look to it. And these are the colors that I ended up choosing. If you'll notice, they're from all different brands. That yellow Zoya's Daisy is so pretty in person. It has a really pretty green shimmer through it. The rest of these, again, they're just creams that are sunset type colors. And what we're going to do is a gradient to start the background. Now, a lot of my ideas do come straight out of my head. The Lion King idea, I looked at just those colors. I needed that color palette to make sure I had the right palette. Because when I am kind of sort of copying someone else's work, or if it's inspired by somebody else's work, I do want to kind of keep it true to form. So after you pick colors, you make sure your nails will fit on the stamping plates and that you didn't break a corner off by dropping a 3-inch 3-ring binder full of stamping plates on it while you were filming a video. Such is my life. So I picked the color, or this plate that I have from Mundo De Unas. It's a Lion King plate. A lot of times when I'm designing, I'll go through and put little dots of polish next to the images that I'm sure I'm going to use, especially if I've kind of been going back and forth between design ideas, and that helps me kind of keep them on track. Now, I also have this notebook that I use. This is just kind of my inspiration notebook, the one that I write down the colors that I used, because I do have a filming studio and then I edit in a separate room. So as soon as I'm done with things, I put them back. I have a little OCD issue. So I use this to keep track of everything, write down ideas, brainstorming, and to design my nail sets. If I'm struggling with it and not really sure what I'm going to do, sometimes I'll have it already planned out in my head. Literally, nail art runs through my head if I'm awake. Like if I'm awake at some point during every hour of every day, I'm thinking about some kind of nail design. I don't know why. I don't know why I've gotten like this over the years, but I just love it. And that's what my brain goes to, especially if I need to relax a little bit. So I write everything down in here, and then I'll draw out the nail shapes and go through and write out where I'm going to put everything. If I'm going to do a specific design, like if you go back and look at my snowflake nails where they had diagonals and that kind of stuff across them, I will draw the general shapes on the different nails. But this is a pretty basic set, so all I'm doing is just making sure I keep track. My thumb is on the left, pinky on the right. That's how I design everything. And then I go through and double check the plate, make sure everything's going to fit where I want it to go before I start stamping. Once I get to that point, I just grab everything I need, grab all the colors. You can see I've got these pretty sunsets going on, and then I'll do a base coat. Now, I mentioned this earlier when I showed the peel-off base coat that I use. I only use this for filming. If I'm actually going to wear a manicure for a significant amount of time, I use Orly Bonder as my base coat. A lot of times what I'll do is if I film 5 or 6 designs over the 24 hours, like I may do 2 on a Friday night and then 4 on Saturday, sometimes at the end of all that, I will just put some Orly Bonder on, pick a pretty hollow color, and just wear that for a week to kind of give my nails a break. But if I'm filming, I do use the peel-off base coat. Now for this particular design, because it's a sunrise design, I'm going to use a gradient, and I am going to use a makeup sponge. Different people do this different ways. Some people soak the sponge so it doesn't soak up as much polish. I don't care. I don't think it's a necessary step. But if it makes you feel froggy, jump. But I just do it wet. It does soak up some polish. It's supposed to help save polish if you wet it. I don't care. It can soak up my $1.99 polish. And then I just kind of go through and start tapping on the design. This is not really a true ombre. I'm not really trying to blend all the colors together. I'm just kind of trying to stamp them down for a background. Now, they are going to blend some. That's the point of doing it this way. But it's not what I would consider a true ombre as much as a little bit of a spongy background technique. Now, if you notice on this, and you may have to do several layers of this. I always put down the lightest color as a base. Then I start, kind of stamping, sponging it on. And then if need be, I do 2 to 3 layers depending on how much it takes. In this case, because I wanted to make sure the yellow was bright, I left it out on the first round and then just kind of did the middle color so it would blend into that deeper red-orange color, the Rorange from Sinful Colors, because the deepest color wasn't necessarily the one that had to be the most prevalent. So these are all kind of things that I think about while I'm doing this. What colors look good together? How am I going to apply them? How do I want them to look when they're applied? Am I going to do something straight or, straight geometric lines or soft? Or do I want a marble background? These are all things that I think about while I'm doing this stuff. Now for this one, I wanted to make sure that very yellow, first thing in the morning, fresh sunrise yellow color was there. I took Zoya's Daisy and just a little bit on the brush and kind of stippled it over each of the nails so it almost looks like yellowy sunrise clouds. Love how this came out. It's honestly one of my favorite backgrounds I've done in a while. I thought it just fit it perfect. It came out so nice for this design. And it's not anything hard. It's not going to mix together because when you do a gradient or an ombre on your nails, they dry pretty quick. So you can just tap it on with the brush. If you don't want it that dark, you can use a little stipple brush and kind of tap it on, or the corner of a sponge even. Now after that, I always do all of my base colors and then I top coat before I stamp. That way if I make a mistake, you can swipe it off real quick. So you want to make sure it's all dry before you start stamping. I decided to grab these palm leaves for the thumb. This is what's called a wallpaper stamp, which means it's going to cover the entire nail. Even on my big old man hands, it covered. So I did that, and then I'm going to grab little baby Simba. This is the one that Rafiki drew out with his thumb in the movie, and I'm going to put him in the center. Now, this was a happy accident that I realized after I did this, but I'm putting him in the center of my middle finger, and then I noticed, especially, make sure you check out the picture at the end. When it dried, it almost looked like later on when Rafiki went back and colored the mane in around his head, the way the background colors ended up swirling together, it was very reminiscent of that part in the movie to me, and I thought it came out super cute. So now what I'm doing is just following the different designs that I did. And if you notice, you see how these kind of almost make it look like a French tip for the land? These are all things that I take into account, like, do I want an angle? Which side do I want the angles on? How do I want them to face? So it's almost like giving yourself kind of a French manicure with these, even though they're very basic stamps. It definitely makes them more of an accent nail. And I really like that and thought it came out great. This was not what I originally imagined I would do, but I loved it better when I got to the end than when I started. Now, after everything's had enough time to dry, of course, you want to go in and do another top coat. You can do a matte top coat, a shiny top coat. You can go in and put glitter on it if you want. Whatever makes your little Disney heart happy. But I thought these Lion King nails just were adorable. I'm absolutely in love with this Manny. Wait till you see it up close. So cute. Do you see what I mean about Simba's mane in the middle? Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Thought it was precious. So let me know below, what do you do when you're designing things? What's your thought process? Do you look at other stuff, or do you just kind of come up with it on the fly? I'm very curious to know. Leave me a note. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.